This episode is brought to you by Marvel Studios' Captain America: Brave New World, starring Anthony Mackie as Captain America and Harrison Ford as President Ross. Don't miss the explosive return of Captain America as Sam Wilson uncovers a mysterious plot that threatens to destabilize the globe and confront an enemy that has the entire world seeing red. Enter A Brave New World in IMAX and 3D on February 14th.
This episode is brought to you by Unstoppable. Discover the inspiring true story about Anthony Robles, who defied every expectation to become a national wrestling champion in Unstoppable, a new original movie from Amazon MGM Studios and director William Goldenberg, evoking the excitement and camaraderie of classic sports dramas and thrilling wrestling matches. Unstoppable features an all-star ensemble cast, including Jarrell Jerome, Jennifer Lopez, Don Cheadle, Michael Pena, and Bobby Cannavale. Watch Unstoppable now, exclusively on Amazon Prime Video.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to AI Scouted on Anfield Index Pro. I'm Dave Hendrick, joined as always by Mr. Karl Matchett. How are you, sir?
Solid 7 out of 10. How are you?
I'm tremendous today on this Monday, where we sit 6 points clear at the top of the Premier League with a game in hand, having inflicted significant psychological scars onto Arsenal, with Darwin Núñez, of all people, scoring 2 late goals to help us beat Brentford before Arsenal would throw away a 2-goal lead at home against Aston Villa, before then having the heartbreak of a big celebration to celebrate Kai Havertz scoring a winner, to then be told, well, no, you can't actually score with your hand, so that one's disallowed. What was your weekend like?
Mine was much more involving trains and things like that than what you've just described, but I am very happy about everything that happened as well, other than the fact I had an irate partner telling me it wasn't handball. Subsequent replays, which I have not seen, but apparently subsequent replays suggested that wasn't the case.
It's the most blatant handball you're ever going to see.
I'll pass that along duly.
There is a delusion in the Arsenal fan base.
Also be passing along where any complaints can be directed so that it doesn't come back to me.
Yes, no, absolutely. Pass on my phone number and tell her that I do have an Etsy store on which I sell bottled Arsenal fan tears at very reasonable prices. And if she would like to become a supplier to my store, I'm more than happy to let her join the fun. No, it hits his arm. It's so blatant that it comes off his arm. It's hilarious. The Reds are top, and we face Lille this week, tomorrow night, in the Champions League. But before we get to that, I do want to quickly just talk about a couple of transfer rumours that are doing the rounds. My best friend, Fabrizio Romano, has said that we have watched Jamie Gittens of Borussia Dortmund multiple times this season. And that, to me, is quite an exciting link. Now, obviously, we were very disappointed that we didn't go and try and sign Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, allowing PSG a free run at him. But if you're not going to get Kvaratskhelia, you wouldn't go very far down the list of potential left-wing additions before you got to Jamie Gittens' name. This lad is a 20-year-old flying winger who's one of the best dribblers in Europe and has been outrageously good for Dortmund this season. 11 goals in 27 games so far. This is his breakout year. Like, he'd been more of a kind of squad rotation player the last few seasons. Last year, he started to establish himself. This year, he's really taking on a starting role. And the production is there. The talent is there. The off-ball work rate looks like he's there. There's a lot to like about him. And, you know, the left wing position is not necessarily a position of weakness for us because Cody's having a good season and Lucho's having a good season. But it is expected that Diaz could depart in the summer. He'll have 2 years left in his contract. He'll be 28 years of age. That's not kind of the range of player that you really want to be extending at that age. You only really want to extend elite players at that kind of point in their career, which he unfortunately is not. And if we could move him on and bring in a 20-year-old with 11 goals and 5 assists in just 1,780 minutes so far this season to rotate with Cody, that would seem like a very smart move.
Yeah, I think not just his on-the-ball ability there, but the versatility we've seen from him as well. He has been mainly playing left side this year, but last year, obviously, when he was making appearances off the bench, trying to be a bit of an impact substitution in different ways, they used him through the middle, they used him on the right-hand side as well. So definitely not a player who is stuck in one position. I mean, I very much like him in terms of his on-the-ball work, his ability to manipulate around players, evade challenges. He's happy to keep running at players. If he doesn't beat them first or second time, he'll just keep going at them. Really impactful as well, considering, let's say, especially in matches where he's had to come off the bench and still make an impact, he's been able to do that. Very impressive and important trait for young players, young attackers. I mean, there are obviously going to be very stupid and very pointless and very unhelpful comparisons with Jadon Sancho because of position, nationality, and Borussia Dortmund. But I don't honestly see that much similarity between the game other than, should we say, starting position. I think the way that they move on and off the ball is pretty different, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. I think Gittens is obviously, first and foremost, he's a lot quicker. He's a lot more explosive. I mean, they're both very, very talented footballers and they're both great dribblers of the ball. But Sancho's biggest issue in the Premier League has been creating separation from defenders, being able to get that yard beyond the defender and then go to work. Gittens doesn't have that problem. Gittens can not only beat a player with the ball at his feet, he's also capable of just knocking it past them and out-sprinting them, which is something Sancho has never been able to do. Sancho has to rely a bit more on kind of guile and cleverness. And Gittens has those things as well. It's just that he's got more tools in his bag. You know, he's got that pace that Sancho doesn't have. He's got that explosive first step that Sancho doesn't have. And he might not be the passer that Jadon Sancho flashed being when he was at Dortmund. And I do still wonder if Jadon Sancho ultimately is a number 10 rather than a winger in the Premier League. But I don't think we could do much better. I think there's only one player that I would absolutely say I would rather have than Jamie Gittens with Kvicha off the market. And this is taking into account, like, we're not going to get Vinicius Jr., and I just don't think we'd be interested in Rafael Leao given his disdain for off-ball work. Outside of Bradley Barcola, there isn't a left winger I'd be more keen on than Jamie Gittens.
So you're placing him, I'm just going to come up with other names who could be there. Mr. Williams?
Yeah. The concern for me with Nico is the injuries. That's the big concern for me, is that there is a history of muscle injuries there. I think he's a sensational player.
Yeah.
The fee would be similar, but Nico earns about 10 times more right now than Jamie Gittens. And I do think we have to factor all of these things in as well. Like, wages have to be something that we consider. And Nico's on, like 200 grand a week as things stand. He might take the same money to join us, but he's not going to take less. Whereas for Jamie Gittens, if he got half that money, it would represent 5 times the wages he's currently on.
And although there are a number of other should we say, ball carriers in the wide areas who could be compared or contrasted or whatever. Let's go for a completely different type of player, someone like Morgan Rogers, who has played left side, and I know you're a fan of.
I do love Morgan Rogers. The problem I have with Morgan Rogers is, like, I could see Villa saying, we want 75 million for him.
Yeah.
And I don't think you could say, oh, that's a bit over the top, given some of the other prices that have gone around. I think Morgan Rogers is outrageously good. The one concern I have about Rogers is I think if you tether him to the left wing, I think you limit his impact. Like, I do think he's a player who's great when he starts wide, but he wants to drift central frequently. And that's where he really does impact the game, is little pockets of space behind a defensive midfielder, in front of a centre-back, or even just dropping into the midfield itself and getting turned and running at a scrambling defence. Whereas I don't feel he's as impactful if he's headed to the left wing, and when you give him the ball, he's got a quick fullback right up against him straight away. He can get that separation, he can beat that man, but that fullback will have a bit more recovery pace and just continue to nip away at him. And Rogers right now is still a little bit too, like, singular focused. Like, when he gets the ball, his singular focus generally is, I'm getting a shot away here. Whereas with Gittens, I do think he's more of a winger, a facilitator than Rogers is. But they're both tremendous. But I would go Gittens again. The price, not buying from a Premier League rival, makes it a bit of an easier deal to do. And he's a little bit younger. And I think he's got the same, if not more, upside.
And just potentially this one could be a lot of the same answer there in terms of not going directly up against a winger and playing centrally and all the rest of it, but more expectation of availability, and I'm not sure about lower cost as such, but maybe higher quality relative to the cost. Florian Wirtz.
See, I don't love Florian Wirtz as a winger. If we buy Florian Wirtz, I would want him as the 10.
Okay.
Which would mean Dom goes left wing. And I'm fine with that. If you tell me that's the play, that we go Florian Wirtz as the 10 and Dom as the left winger, as long as we've also improved that holding midfield role with, a Carlos Baliba type or whoever, a Tchouaméni, whoever, that's okay with me. But if you said to me, we're going to bring in Florian Wirtz, we're going to play him as the 10, but we're sticking with Gravenberch and Alexis, now I have real concerns about us off the ball. He'd be outrageous on the ball, but I'd have real concerns off the ball.
Yeah, you're removing a large part of our physicality there from the middle, so fair enough.
Exactly. And we can't afford to lose any more physicality in midfield.
Well, you say that. Don't tempt them.
Yeah, I know. I like it. I suppose, like, Zubamendi is the one that they've looked at. I look at him and I think, he would improve us so much in our build-up. I thought against Brentford we were screaming out for Zubamendi because there was just so much sterile sidewards and ponderous backwards passing and putting your foot on the ball and waiting and, like, nobody taking real responsibility. Alexis was trying to be everything all at once. And it's the same thing we saw against Forest. We just weren't able to open them up properly, which is why we didn't, even with the 37 shots, our XG was, quite low in comparison to the volume of shots we had. We weren't getting high quality chances other than the 2 goals, the Gakpo chance, I suppose the Diaz header, but for the amount of the territorial advantage we had, I felt like we didn't get nearly the type of opportunities we should have been getting early in the game. Zubamendi would have been massive in helping that. But what you gain in him, in his passing against, say, Gravenberch, even though Gravenberch's not a strong defensive player, he is far more athletic. He's far more rangy. And I think we'd lose out there because as Zubi Alexis double pivot, it's a little bit small for me. And I said that in the summer when we were linked to him first, that it is a little bit small for me. It's a little bit lightweight and it's a little bit slow.
Now, we do have a game to get to, and I promise we will do, all you listeners, but on a final Jamie Gittens related question, and you're not allowed to go 10 minutes into a reason here, you just got to give me a number. He's 20 in the summer, he'll have 3 years left on his deal. English, Sancho and Dortmund, all that kind of stuff still does get factored in here. What's your upper limit for him?
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Build a routine with Ollie that supports your wellness needs, like getting your daily vitamins and minerals with Ollie's multi-gummies, or keeping your mood upbeat with all the vitamin D in Hello Happy. Give your gut health some support with probiotics, and wake up feeling refreshed after taking Ollie Sleep. Do wellness on your terms. Find Ollie at a Walmart or Target near you or at ollie.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
You know what's smart? Enjoying a fresh gourmet meal at home that you didn't have to cook. Meet Factor, your loophole in the laws of mealtime. Chef-crafted meals delivered with a tap, ready in just 2 minutes. You know what's even smarter? Treating yourself without cheating your goals. Factor is dietitian approved, chef prepared, and you plated. Pretty smart, huh? Refresh your routine and eat smart with Factor. Learn more at factormeals.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
The NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in select states. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
60? Probably 60. He's not as established as Sancho was. Like with Sancho, you were looking at 3 tremendous seasons, 2 of them absolutely elite in terms of production.
Yeah.
With Gittens, it'll only be 1. So I would say probably 60.
But the contract situation is reversed there.
Because he's got 3. Well, Sancho had, 2 years left?
I think when they bought him, he only had 1 year left. That's why everyone was stunned they were paying so much, wasn't it?
United are a very stupid club. No, I'd still say 60, I think.
Yeah.
Because if it starts to push to like the 70, 80 mark, then I'm just going to go to PSG and offer them a big bag for Bradley Barcola.
Yeah.
And I might do that first anyway.
I was wondering where they're thinking of Barcola after spending 70 on Creature.
This is the thing. Like, I'm like, he hasn't had the best relationship with Luis Enrique so far, according to, the different reporting.
Which we might attribute to the fact that Luis Enrique doesn't have the best relationship with anybody at all.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Congrats, Kavici. You've just signed up to work for an arsehole. Yeah, I mean, I suppose the thing with Gittens, where you wouldn't mind paying a little bit more in the fee, even if it did go to 70, is the wages will be lower. Like, I don't see him, like Sancho went to United on 250 or 300 grand a week. I don't think Gittens will be looking for that type of wage.
Not on the first contract.
So, so maybe you're okay to overpay on the fee because you'll save it on the contract.
Yeah.
So if you have an upper limit of 60, but it costs 70, but he's only going to cost 100 grand a week as opposed to 200 grand a week, there's your 10 million made up. Over the first 2 years.
Worth looking at Gittens in terms of like where he goes over the rest of this season, because ideally you want more than just one season, like you've just said. This is only one. But obviously then the later you leave it, the more the price goes up, more people become involved and interested and so on and so forth. But right now, in Champions League, his 4 goals are from a combined XG of 1.15, and his 7 Bundesliga goals are from an XG of 3.7. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. It is
wildly unsustainable, but we'll see.
But then haven't Man City just spent 80 million on a player having what would very much appear to be the most unsustainable run of form that anyone's ever had in their life in Omar Marmoush? Like, there is a Bundesliga tax, and Dan Kennett always talks about how, when you're buying from the Bundesliga, you do have to factor in that there's going to be a drop-off. And we've seen it. Like, there hasn't been many players that have come from the Bundesliga to the Premier League and maintained or bettered the level. KDB obviously did, but, Kai Havertz didn't, Timo Werner didn't, Sancho absolutely didn't. The one thing I do note is Jamie Gittens is the same agent as Sancho and Romeo Lavia. And that might count against us a little bit. Haaland is a freak of nature. I don't count. He's not a human being. And let's be honest, his all-round play at City is not nearly as good as it was at Dortmund. Like, he's not the same do-everything 9 that he was at Dortmund.
No, he also doesn't have as much involvement in different types of games and goals, because at Dortmund, one of the big factors that got him a lot of goals was that ability to sprint basically 80 yards on the counter-attack and still be there to finish.
Yeah.
There's none of that at City. It's a completely,
it's stand on the edge of the box and wait.
Yeah, a third of that kind of game is removed, basically. But still, look, Haaland is an exception because Haaland is exceptional. Like, forget that City not doing well and everything else. The point of XG is that it's obviously effectively an average of how that shot should go in if everybody takes it a number of times, and Haaland is above average. That's the whole point of it. So that's why we use the measurement, I don't know. We'll see. I just think it's very, very interesting that he's so far above it in 2 different competitions. But like we say, it's half a year so far, and we'll see if he is a very, very, very good finisher or this comes down a bit.
Guys telling us that West Ham have bid 57 million for John Duran.
Which they are.
That is interesting, though, isn't it? Like, that there's still a lot of noise around whether Villa will sell him or not. I think they'd be mental to sell him. If I'm them, I'm much more open to selling Ollie Watkins than I am to selling John Duran.
Yeah.
Unless Duran is problematic, which we don't know about, I'm selling Watkins, who's 30 or near 30, and I'm turning the team over to Duran as my 9, and I'm going, if I have Duran as my 9, Morgan Rogers, Ramsey, and that's 3/4 of my front 4. Plus I've got Onana and Kamara and Torres and Maatsen. Like my team is very quickly coming together here. I maybe need one winger. I needed one defender because I've got Constant. I'm happy. It looks like Loic Bade could be going there, and Martinez in goal. Like I'm selling Watkins and saying Duran is my 9, and this is our team. I wouldn't consider selling him. Would you? Would you sell him?
Duran?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be keen to sell him, no. I mean, if it's a case of, we know Villa were one of the teams FFP tied in the summer, and if it's going to be a really big markup really quickly for them, and they have someone else in mind who could replicate what his role has been, let's say, then I'd be definitely considering it just because of the financial implications, but it definitely wouldn't be my first choice, no.
No.
But again, with him, we've yet to see him starting on a regular basis. How sustainable is it?
Yeah, see, this is also very true. Like, he could become a starter in the limitations in his game. Maybe just hold him back and hold them back as a team. And, like, I'm not advocating for actively looking to sell Ollie Watkins, but if you have to sell one of them, like, Watkins' fee should be pretty close to off your books. You have him a long time now. So even if you're selling Watkins, you should be getting pretty much all profit off him. Like, is this his 5th year there? Feel like it is. So normal amortization, his fee should be off their books at the end of this year, meaning any fee coming in for Ollie Watkins would be pure profit in terms of FFP and profit sustainability. And his age, he's not going to get any better for you. He is going to start declining. If you can get a big fee for him, that would appear to be the way to go.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens. There's a few interesting rumours. United been linked with Patrick Dorgu. That one would make me sad, but United are such a train wreck. There's a possibility he goes there and doesn't work, even though Amorim has a great track record of developing wing-backs. So he could turn him into an absolute world beater. Let's move on, though, to our game coming up tomorrow. Liverpool take on Lille. Now, Lille are 3rd in the French division. They are very, very hard to beat. So they've only lost twice in the league this season. They lost on the 1st of September to PSG, and they lost on the 13th of September to Saint-Etienne by 1-0. And they haven't lost since. But they are the draw specialists of this league. And in the last 14 league games, they've won 6 with 8 draws. So they're hard to beat, but they don't score a ton of goals. Only 28 in the league so far. Second best defensive record, though, with 17. In the Champions League, obviously, they had to come through the qualifiers. They knocked out Fenerbahce. They knocked out Slavia Prague. They do currently sit 8th. They lost their first game away to Sporting, but then they beat Real, they beat Atleti, drew with Juve because, you put 2 draw specialists together, what's going to happen? They beat Bologna away, and they beat Sturm Graz at home, though made tougher work of that one than it needed to be. They're a pretty good bet to get through. It's almost certain they'll be in the next round, whether it's, in the 9 to 24 range or the 1 to 8 range remains seen. But they play Fenerbahce, they play Feyenoord in their final game, and that is one they should win. So they probably end up as a top 8 team, even if we beat them. But they're going to be tough. Like they're going to be a tough out. They're not going to roll over for us.
No, they won't roll over for us. I find 2 things quite interesting about Lille, to be perfectly honest. One of them being slightly mad, but they've lost 4 games all season long across all competitions. All 4 of them came back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
That was one little run that they had a really bad spell, obviously. They lost to Slavia Prague in second leg of a qualifier that they were already going through in Champions League. They lost to PSG following that. Then they were beaten by Saint-Etienne and Sporting in the Champions League, which was their first and only defeat, obviously. That run was late August to mid-September. And
he decided the first international break.
Yeah, and since then they've not lost another game, anybody. So that tells us 2 things. Either, one, the start of the season is stupid because you have international breaks upsetting everybody's rhythm, or that they've just got very, very good and consistent and have a really cohesive plan since then. The other thing is, like you say, they should certainly finish either in the top 8 or just outside the top 8. Thing is, right now, that top 24 qualifying playoff round thing is looking a little bit stupid in some cases, because the teams who do finish 9th, 10th and 11th, it looks like at least one of them is going to be playing either like Real Madrid, Man City or Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
It might not be, but at least one of them looks like it could be. So you
That's some reward, doesn't it?
Yeah, you might get really, really horribly done over here just by this is how it works now, and like through no fault of your own. Like if Lille win one more and don't win the other one, then that's still a really good Champions League campaign, but they may end up getting Paris Saint-Germain in the knockout. So
yeah,
that would be incredibly harsh and horrible for them. But I suppose we do need some sort of excitement from this stupid arrangement of the Champions League. And I'm
listen, we're top of this Champions League. This is not stupid. This is great.
I'm glad we're top. I am. I still am not taking back anything I've said about this. It's crap. I think it's rubbish. Like, other than a couple of teams, a couple of fan bases who are like desperate now to either sneak in like Paris Saint-Germain's or still hoping they can go automatic like, let's say, AC Milan, who are a point off and, let's face it, are not one of the superpowers anymore. Then, yeah, like that, you've got a couple of interesting games still coming up. But to the rest, I don't think so. I don't think that this has made any kind of excitement more than the other Champions League group anyway. So I'm sticking with, I'm glad we're top. I'm really glad that we're very good and look like we can beat most teams, but I don't think as a whole this is very fun.
I like it in the fact that you do play 8 different teams, so you're not just playing the same team twice. I do like that because, sometimes you get some clubs get a group where you look at it and they've got like 4 games against utter dross.
Yeah, that is better.
There's teams obviously this year that have that as well. We've had one of the tougher runs. I think we had was it the hardest or second hardest graded draw when the draw was made. We were right up the top in terms of the strength of schedule and the toughness of who we were going to play. Obviously, other teams got some crappy teams to play, but I don't know, it's going to take some getting used to. It looks like it's here for a few years anyway, until they decide to prick about with it some more. But I do agree with you on the fact that it especially in the playoff round, some teams will have had a really good campaign, just missed out on top 8. Some will have had a garbage campaign and snuck in at 24th. And they're going to play each other. But that team that's had the garbage campaign could be a Real Madrid or a City. And you're just that's really unfair on a Lille team that could end up with 16 points. Playing a team that got 5 less than them and didn't perform, and now they could easily go out.
Yeah, and I guess that is, what the Champions League is, and everybody knows that you could face a tough one. So try and finish in the top 8, and that one game, that one tie might serve as the lesson, I suppose, for next year for those who have sort of tried to trundle along and take it easy. It's a bit difficult to judge exactly how many teams have done that because there's a lot of fairly inept teams in this, to be quite honest, a lot of change or people who have underperformed domestically, that kind of thing, and also it's impossible to watch all the games. So I don't know. Like I said, there's always going to be some sort of storyline or some hardship or whatever, and it might even be that the team who's 8th going into the last round of games then suddenly loses in the last minute and drops out or something like that. Some storyline will emerge, and there'll be the cautionary tale for the future and all that, and you do need some sort of storyline because otherwise I think it's just too long. I also like the fact that we play 8 different teams. That's a good thing, definitely. It's just it's over such a long period. I'd be surprised if you get to game sort of 7 and 8 and people can remember the Girona match, for example, or remember where were you when Aston Villa beat Bologna 2-0. Or
yeah, that's fair. It is an awful lot of games, and it is hard to keep track. But look, it's it's different. We'll see what happens. Anyway, into this one. these are a good team. Lucas Chevalier is their starting goalkeeper. He's 23 years of age, very highly regarded, likely to be a future France international. Whether he'll ever establish himself as number one will depend. But he's certainly a good goalkeeper that's worth keeping an eye on. They've got a kind of an odd situation in defence. So Alexandro always plays left side centre-back. I mean, he's there regardless of anything else. But the other three positions tend to rotate. Now, before Diakate starts pretty much every game, I think he has started every game, but he plays some games at right back and some games at centre-back. If he's at right back, Asa Mandi normally starts at centre-back. If he's at centre-back, it could be Thomas Meunier, it could be Thiago Santos stepping in at right back. Then at left back, it is very much a rotating cast. You've got Gabriel Gudmundsson, the Swedish international. You've got Mitchell Bakker, the Dutch international, who's in on loan from Atalanta. He plays, obviously, as a winger as well. He sometimes plays in midfield. And there's Ismaili, the Brazilian, who played in the most recent game at left back. So we can be certain that Alexandro and Diakate will start. Those two will definitely start, but the other two are quite hard to predict.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woo-hooer, a hand clapper, a high-fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.